When admissions committees step back and review an academic profile, they're usually asking a broader question. Does this student appear ready for the level of work our school provides? Grades are certainly part of that evaluation, but they are considered alongside other factors, including teacher insight, academic habits, and the student's overall trajectory. Admissions teams are trying to understand how a student learns, how they approach challenges, and how they may develop within the school's academic culture. Different schools grade differently. Some schools have very strict grading policies, while others may grade more generously. Admissions officers are usually familiar with many of the schools that feed into their applicant pool, so they often have a general sense of how grading works in those environments. They also review school profiles and teacher commentary that help them interpret grades more accurately. This means that the same letter grade can sometimes be interpreted differently depending on the context. For example, a B+ in a particularly demanding classroom might signal strong academic readiness, whereas a transcript filled with easy A's may not necessarily tell the full story about how a student responds to an academic challenge. Admissions officers are used to reading transcripts with that level of nuance. They are not simply comparing numbers across students. They're interpreting academic performance within the context of each student's learning environment. Admissions officers also pay attention to how students perform across different academic areas. A transcript might show that a student is especially strong in reading and writing. Another student might demonstrate stronger performance in mathematics or science. These patterns help schools understand where a student's intellectual interests and strengths may lie. Private schools are not necessarily looking for students who are identical academically. Instead, they're trying to build a community of learners with a range of strengths and perspectives. This leads to another common question parents ask. Can a student with B's still get into private school? For families thinking about private school in the future, one helpful shift is to start looking at report cards a little differently. Instead of focusing only on individual grades, it can be useful to ask a few broader questions. Is my child developing strong study habits? Those habits tend to matter a great deal in more rigorous academic environments, because when students arrive at a demanding school, the ability to stay organized, persist through difficult material, and engage thoughtfully in class often matters just as much as the grades themselves.